Welcome in, everybody. It is Wednesday, and what a day it has been. Not necessarily the best of days. Some unfortunate news with our friend Hulk Hogan. Terry Bollea has passed away. I'm sure everybody in the world has heard by now, and y'all know that Main Event Fantasy is the name of our channel, and that main event comes from the idea of loving of wrestling and entertainment that kind of came with it, along with sports. And so Hulk Hogan played a huge role in that, and may he rest in peace. So if anybody gets on here, throw some love down below into the comments or into the chat about what Hulk Hogan maybe has meant to you, and if anything. So, well, let's move on from the mushy stuff and let's kind of talk about what we're doing tonight. We are getting in here to a Best Ball Mania draft. If you're not sure what we're doing, this is underdog fantasy that we're drafting on. We do best ball drafts. And what does that mean? It means there's no time commitment during the regular season. You draft your team, best players play, no management whatsoever, no waiver wires, no trades, none of that. You just draft your team. And if you drafted the right combination, you're going to win a whole lot of money. So think of it like the lottery with better odds. So this is a $25 entry for Best Ball Mania. You can max 150 entries. I've got 70 left that I can do on BBM. So I'm a little ahead of the curve than some of the other drafters that are, heavy drafters like myself. So we'll jump in and see how we do tonight. Looking forward to a good draft. If you're new here, you enjoy any of the content, just do me a favor, like, subscribe, throw a comment down below, hit the notification bell. I like to go live between 10 and midnight Central Time, and we just do best ball drafting right here. I will talk. You can ask questions. I'll talk about anything you want. So if you want to draft with us live, there's a link down below in the description, and you can come join live with us and draft some teams and have a good time talking about it. All right, let's see what happens when this thing fills. I found it interesting just looking at just the number of not teams, but drafts that are available to draft right now. A lot of the lower drafts are already done, and they will add more. So if you're looking and go, hey, I don't have $10 to throw away, maybe if it was 5 or 3, they will have more. They keep adding more. They actually had a 20 max tournament earlier today that dropped, and it's already done. It's already filled. So, hopefully I'd like to think they'll release one before the weekend. So we will see. But let's see if we can't find our random Best Ball Mania that we're trying to get into here. Where'd it go? There it goes. We got the 1-4. I like it. 1-4 is a good spot to be. I will say it seems like this last week I've seen a lot of shifting in ADP, and we'll talk a little bit about who we've seen shifting the most, at least recently, that we may or may not have already talked about. Draft's going to start in about 20 seconds here. At the 1-4, for me, there's, you've kind of got your top 5-6 guys. In the first round, I tend to just take ADP. When I get a little bit further into August, I'll look at my exposures really, really closely. When, let's just say I only have, 35 drafts left, or, 30 drafts left, and I don't have enough Jahmyr Gibbs. Then maybe if I get the 1 through 4, I may pull some Jahmyr Gibbs in to even out the exposures, if that makes sense. When you're doing this whole draft on an underdog, the first round, you don't have to get cuted. You just kind of take the best player available. You want to balance out your exposures. If you're if you're drafting multiple teams. If you're coming on here and you go, you know what, I'm going to draft like 2 teams and best of luck to me, then, at that point, you typically will want to go ahead and get your guy, right? Like bow down here, or bow down. I don't know how he's saying it. Not a badge drafter. Maybe he's not a regular. I don't know. So he pulls Gibbs well ahead of his ADP, but maybe he's only going to draft one Best Ball Mania team. And if that's the case and Gibbs is his guy, hey, man, go get him. Nothing wrong with it at all. My foot hurts. I can't get comfortable. I've been fighting with this chair, and I'm not winning. Not winning this battle. All right, let's put this board up so you guys kind of get a good idea of how the board's falling. Bearchild on the clock takes Amon Ra. Derrick Henry again has come to the first round in some of these drafts, and I just feel like he gets so soaked up that I can't get him over here. I don't want him, this close to the first round, because I was getting so much of him 17 through 21 in May. So I don't know. It's like that 2v2 thing. Like, would I rather have CeeDee Lamb and Derrick Henry, or Amon-Ra and Derrick Henry, right? Or Nico and Derrick Henry? Probably would rather have CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry. So why pile on the Derrick exposure so early? I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. And that's kind of how life works. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But we try to draft a little more intelligently than that. All right. A little bit of run on wide receivers here. A.J. Brown, Drake London, Ladd McConkey go. Higgins goes a little early. We will just continue to take the value. Jonathan Taylor here seems like a fine pick. A lot of people thought that he wouldn't be a great pick last year, and where he went was fair value, but he really tore it up in the fantasy football playoffs. He was a big time help, and we'll look at that. So when I pull up his stats here, he had last year 4 top 5 finishes in terms of the 18 weeks, and 3 of them were weeks 16, 17, 18. So he was the number 1 running back in PPR scoring in week 16 and 17 last year. So he really did tear it up and really help people in their fantasy playoffs. All right, Josh Allen goes at 26. They keep taking these guys so early. Bucky's still sitting here. I don't have a lot of Bucky. But he's still sitting here at 21. Chase Brown at 27. This is weird. I think we'll just go ahead and grab a share of Bucky at 21. We're sitting here picking at 28. He's at an ADP at 21. You're not going to get a whole lot of teams that can get Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, and Bucky Irving all in the same team. So that kind of gives us a bit of a unique start, because a lot of times people are picking Bucky in the second round, right where Taylor goes. He doesn't make it back around, and Justin Jefferson's usually at 2. So it's already hard enough to get one of them at 23, normally, let alone where they are. So this is a unique start. This could be fun. We might be well on our way here to win $2 million. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, $2 million is the first place prize for Best Ball Mania. All you got to do is beat out 672,671 other teams, but you can do it. And actually, you really don't, because you're in pod. It's a pod format. So, weeks 1 through 14, you are in a pod with, I think it's 14 others. You got to beat them and then advance. And, then week 15, you advance, 16 And then the finals are week 17. I kind of want to compare real quick. I'm going to go find our friends Bucky Irving and Jonathan Taylor. And I want to compare last year. So in PPR points last year, Jonathan Taylor was ranked 7 and Bucky Irving was ranked 19th. But Bucky came on really, really strong at the end of the year. And so he's a little bit underappreciated, I think. But I also think I actually think he's a little overdrafted. Some people don't agree with me. I don't have a lot of Bucky. If you look back to our running back video where I talked about my guys for running backs, Bucky was not one of those guys, not even in consideration. I showed you my exposures, and Bucky's not really a guy that's been on the list. But when he falls like this is where I want to get my shares of Bucky. Jalen Hurts goes at 41, pairs up with the A.J. Brown drafter. And look at Josh Jacobs. Jacobs fell all the way to 32 after, we passed on him. That's pretty good. All right, let's see what's coming around to us here. Whoa, that came around quick. We're on the clock. All right. I don't know where Rice is going to keep falling to, so I'm not sure if I want to take him yet. Let's just see how far he keeps going, and we'll let it play out. We're trying to win $2 million, and we got to take some chances. I just don't know. I think he'll keep going into the early 50s, and we're 6 picks away. If he falls to 52, maybe. What people are freaking out about is while he's full start for camp, what they don't know is what's going to happen with a suspension. We don't know when. We don't know how much time. We don't know if he misses 3 to 6 weeks. Is it the beginning of the season? Next year? I really don't know how they're going to shake this out, but this is a little scary to me if I take Rashee Rice here. I think I've been calling him Bucky. Did I say Bucky? If so, don't shoot me. All right, I actually almost took Smith instead, but you know what? He falls to 52. We're just going to grab him and see what happens. 52 ADP Rashee Rice doesn't feel that horrible. So so far we started out Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, DK Metcalf, Rashee Rice. Seems like a kind of a cool, unique start. I guess where we took Metcalf, we could have. Am I missing something? Is he still on the board? Yeah. James Cook at 43 is still there, and he just went off the board at 55. I was like, I guess we could have went triple RB, but y'all know if you watch the video, and if you haven't watched it yet, I made a video talking about the different drafting strategies and which ones I prefer when they fall to me. How do I manage my drafts, but also which ones have been the most effective over the last 2 years that has shaped my thoughts on draft strategy. And one of those things is I do not like, unless I get some crazy faller, I don't like to go more than 2 running backs in the first 6 or 7 rounds, just because I believe in the anchor or double anchor RB strategy. And wide receivers still have a big fall off. They fall off a cliff to me after round 7. I mean, there's a gap after round 5 and then another gap after round 7. And I would like to grab what I can before they're gone. Like, to me, this Calvin Ridley spot here. After Calvin Ridley, there's a tier break on wide receiver for me. And then there's another one after round 7. Couple of rookie running backs go. Travion Henderson, I saw a video of him today catching this like over the shoulder pass, kind of nonchalantly. Looked good doing it. Of course, everybody in camp is just clapping him up, man. I love to see it. Maybe if my Cleveland Browns pick the right guy, not a guy who beats his girlfriend, that would be nice. Could have had him instead. All right, so there's no real faller here, so now we just kind of take what we like. I'm a little nervous about Godwin right now because, and I've gotten a bunch of him, but I think I'm actually going to take Jacoby Myers here. I don't have a ton of him in Best Ball Mania, or just really in general. I think I'm a little underweight him, and I think they're going to he'll still be the guy in Vegas other than Brock Bowers. So I don't hate getting a share of him here. When we start Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, I'm kind of counting on the fact that they're going to anchor us down. So like there are some running backs here I like, but depending on what falls to me, I like these receivers. And like I shared, there's a fall off here for me and quality on wide receiver. And I'm probably going to snag one of them, but we'll see. I've been reading some articles talking about Caleb Johnson in Pittsburgh, being the guy, and people need to get more of him. I'm a little underweight on him for sure because I'm overweight Jaylen Warren where he goes in drafts, and I don't know. I just feel like Jaylen Warren is kind of, I don't want to say the incumbent, but I like him. I like him a lot. Am I really about to get another? No. All right, we'll take Ricky Pearsall here. I almost did Pacheco. I like the Green Bay receivers. I like Godwin. Here's the reason why I skipped Godwin and didn't take Pacheco there is, again, I've already got a couple of anchor RBs here, but with Rice and we not know how much time he's missing, that means I'm going to want to have some depth at wide receiver to make up for the fact that I'm going to have probably 3 to 6 weeks without him. So I'm going to need to make up some time there. All right, let's see if it comes around. Give me 1 second. Just want to shut the door. Okay. Hawkinson went at 78. There goes that run on running backs. Godwin made it all the way to 82. I think he's going to keep falling. There's been a lot of changes in ADP lately with people adjusting because of, camp news or injuries, and that definitely will affect, how I draft as well. Because when you're looking at news, you want to play it so it's your advantage. Like ideally, let's say somebody gets hurt. You want to be the guy who didn't have very much of them. So maybe they fall down draft boards. Maybe they're not hurt as bad. You get some shares of them then when they're down further. And then all of a sudden you have some huge EV value, or CLV, as some call it, closing line value at the end of the year. And the reverse can be true as well, where you can have guys where you were okay, hold on 1 second. We're on the clock. So we are pummeled with no wide receiver options. I mean, I'm okay getting Patrick Mahomes share here and pairing up with Rice. It doesn't doesn't bother me that much. Baker, Arizona. Yeah. We can go ahead and do that. Grab our first quarterback here, pair him up with Rice. And then we're about 6 picks away. I'm perfectly okay grabbing our first tight end, Kelsey, and pairing him up as well with Mahomes and getting a little bit of a double stack of sorts here. So we'll probably shoot for that. But what I was saying was, there's guys that have, like, I was losing on Judkins. Like, I was taking Judkins in, where Caleb Johnson goes, because they were back-to-back for most of the best ball, season of drafting so far. And unfortunately, Judkins had that bad decision that he made. And now, so all my picks that I made earlier don't look so good on those teams, right? Maybe he plays and those teams are okay, but his value has gone down. And so kind of feels bad getting him. All right. We could get ETN, Coleman, Trey Harris. Oh, the choices. I guess we'll just get ETN here. With ETN, he's a guy that, there's just a lot of news, right, about what role will he have compared to what he's had in the past because of Tootin and, you've got Tank Bigsby still in the you got Bashal Tootin, and I'm probably saying that wrong, and Tank Bigsby still in the mix. So it could be like a 3-headed monster almost. If you're just joining us, thanks again for being here. I appreciate you watching the video, watching the content. Throw a like, subscribe, or hit the notification bell. If you want to draft live with us, this is Underdog Fantasy. We do this every night if we can. I'd say every night, but it's probably like I'll miss a day or two here. I do have kids, so you got to give me a little bit of grace. And much like many of you, I also work. This is not my job. This is something I do for fun to help you guys. And, I'm going to be drafting best ball teams anyway. I'm going to draft over 700 teams this year. So if you're looking for someone to entertain you, give you advice, guidance, smarten you up before your actual redraft leagues that are coming up, your home leagues, then, hey, I'm your guy. I'm happy to help. But any support you can give would be greatly appreciated. Look at that little run on quarterbacks there. Baker, Caleb, Justin, Purdy, and Goff all go in a row. Playing a little game of here comes the quarterbacks, right? All right, let's pull this up. Bateman's an option here. We could pair up McCarthy, but we could wait because some of these guys could come back to us. So I think I'm going to get another receiver here. I like Bateman a lot. I took him a bunch last year, and, man, I advanced some teams in some of these tournaments because I had Lamar with Bateman, and, he did a nice job. And you know what? I might be speaking a little bit out of tune here, but I'm going to pull him up here, and I'll talk a little bit about his stats for you. I need to, which, by the way, I really need to be able to learn how to showcase some of this to you guys a whole lot easier because I'm still learning this whole YouTube thing. So got to learn how to put these things on screen so you can see what I'm seeing. But with Bateman, he's getting a 75 to 85% snap share. He did have a couple of top 10 finishes a week, a number 2 finish. He has some spike week potential, but he also has the fall off and do nothing potential. So, but he's on a good offense. Should get some, targets. McCarthy goes, so we won't be getting him. I'm pausing on Najee right now because of what's going on with his eye. I'm overweight Najee right now, and I'm gonna take a minute and slow myself down on getting any more of him. I'm going through changes. I mean, we could do him. We'll see what comes back around. Get Najee. Ramondre here is our fourth running back. We really don't, we're not really counting on these guys as much as we are our core. I mean, when we draft, these two running backs back to back in rounds 2 and 3, you're pretty much counting on them as being primary scorers for you. Or what we'll call every week scorers. So far, we got Patrick Mahomes as our quarterback. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson. Wide receiver, we have Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Rashee Rice, Jacoby Myers, Ricky Pearsall, Rashad Bateman at wide receiver, and no tight ends. Stacking partner-wise, we could, later on we can get an Aaron Rodgers share if we want. We can get a Geno Smith share. But everybody else, those quarterbacks are gone. So we've got a couple of options to throw in here, but we'll see what comes around to us and, what's available. I think if Hollywood's here, we'll double stack Hollywood with Mahomes if he makes it back around to us. Two. Williams goes. Pitts goes. Pitts is a guy I want to get a little bit more of. I'm not over weight on him, but something tells me, and every year I feel like I'm guilty of this, but something tells me this might be the year I need to grab a few more pieces of Pitts. Benson goes. I'm in on him this year. I think he's going to be good. All right. So we'll take Hollywood Brown here. We'll double stack with Patrick Mahomes. That's our 7th wide receiver. So we need to look at what's going to be coming around at, quarterback and tight end, which have some ideas here. We could always just finish off running back 2 and stop at 5, which we might. We might, if we get a running back here at a good value, we could stop here at running back and then just go in on quarterbacks and tight ends to kind of push through this draft. I mean, Geno's down there, but I think he'll be there on the next round. There's plenty of quarterbacks ahead of him. There's Tootin. When Tootin goes. All right, I think we're going to do that. Let's do... I guess we'll just get Ray Davis, top of ADP. I mean, I would have been fine with any of these guys. I'm okay. Like, they all feel the same to me. The only guy down here I'm not in on is Jaden Blue. I need somebody to convince me that he's a good click. I realize he's on Dallas, but I'm not. I mean, if I hear some good news out of him on camp, then maybe I will start to click him. But that goes back to what I said earlier about expected value or closing line value. If he gets good news out of camp, he's going to rise in drafts, and I'll get some of him, but I won't be getting on him at any kind of like a discount. I'll be getting him on the high side of where his cost's going to fall if that's the case. Sorry. Guys, I'm yawning. I took one of those like NyQuil things. I had a little bit of allergies, a little bit of a headache. And so I took one of these like NyQuil things. I'm like, oh, I can draft a draft or two and everything will be fine. Well, it's beat me up pretty bad here. Trying to decide if I'm going to do one more draft after this or if it's going to be just a one draft quick stream just for tonight. Brother, I still can't believe Hulk Hogan is not with us. It's making me feel old. So if you guys are 80s babies or even before that, I guess you can relate. Hulk Hogan was the first wrestler I saw on TV. My dad had it on. Didn't know anything about him. Like, who's this guy? And when I saw him on TV, I mean, I was pretty much hooked ever since. So wrestling's been a part of my life. My kids are starting to get into it and love it. So, yeah, it's definitely been a change or a game changer for me. Gino goes. Really? How you going to take Gino from me? All right. I guess we'll grab a Janu share here. Janu will be our first tight end. Seems a little bit strange. I don't know what Gordito has. Let's take a look. So Gordito grabbed him in his third quarterback. And he didn't have any. Oh, I hate when they do that. He didn't have any Las Vegas Raiders. So it makes zero sense to me when people do stuff like that. It really drives me nuts. Like, it's just a guy on a team, which I guess you can do what you want. So I shouldn't say anything. Who am I? I will tell you who I am. I'm a guy who is drafting Aaron Rodgers as my second quarterback. Like 97-year-old Aaron Rodgers is now on our team. Doesn't that feel good? Not my favorite click. Honestly, guys, this draft didn't go quite as good as I was hoping it would go. It started out really good with that crazy value here, but I don't know. There's just a lot of guys that I like that didn't fall that normally do and where they go. And I don't know. I might be getting spoiled, but this might have helped me because there are guys that I don't normally take that fell onto this team, and I should be grateful that I'm able to click some of them. So I do have a problem where I tend to draft similar players. And if you watch enough of my streams, you're gonna be like, I bet you he's gonna click that guy right there. Oops. But the good news here is we did stack Aaron Rodgers, actually a double stack. We have him with Jonnu and DK Metcalf. And then we have a double stack with Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown. So we do have two double stacks to play with. We don't have any Denver for the bring back with Kansas City. And we don't have any Cleveland for the bring back in Pittsburgh. So if any of these last three picks here in this draft are going to be Denver or Cleveland, that could work itself out pretty good. You know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do. See, I've started to get myself into a position where, like, I know what I want to do before I do it because I've drafted so many teams. I know where I want to go. And so I'm going to go there. This is getting really fun, and I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but so if you did not hear, Seattle traded away or released, I can't remember which. I think he traded away Noah Fant. So Arroyo is on the team, and AJ Barner is on the team, And so one or both of those guys is going to get a lot more touches than they did last year. Arroyo being the rookie, I feel like he's got the most likely pathway to be the person that's going to get that, opportunity. So I'm starting to get more of him, and he's going in, 16th, 17th round. So I'll get some more. I mean, he might be a great late round pick. And then here we'll get our Denver, Cleveland, couple guys bring backs. And actually, I like both of these players. Fannin obviously was a top, highly drafted tight end. Yes, they have Njoku, but the Browns are going to have to throw, and they're limited on wide receiver options. And Njoku has also shown that he can get a little banged up from time to time. I mean, he might have a role right away and score some points. And if he's as good as he was drafted, he could really light it up. Franklin, on the other hand, which, by the way, mark my words, Fannin will move out wide. He'll either go out wide or in the slot on occasion and not just be in line. So I think they'll play him a little bit differently. And then Troy Franklin on Denver, teammates with Bo Nix in college, didn't have a huge year last year. I think he could be a huge a guy that gets a lot of value out of him. And I think people are undervaluing Troy Franklin. I really do. So we're going to get Harold Fannin as our last pick here. And then I think we're just going to make this a one draft stream, a short stream, guys. I am tired as all get out. And between work, the kids, and then I won't be on tomorrow night, but I will possibly be on Saturday. We're actually going kayaking out of town tomorrow. So taking our oldest son, and we're going to go and we got cabins. We're going to cook out, go kayaking. It's going to be a good time. Going to be a good time. May consume some adult beverages during my time. On the river. Lloyd goes. All right. Harold Fannin, come on down. All right. So let's just look over the team. We got Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Ray Davis at running back, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Rashee Rice, Jacoby Myers, Ricky Pearsall, Rashad Bateman, Hollywood Brown, Troy Franklin at wide receiver, and then Jonnu Smith, Elijah Arroyo, and Harold Fannin at tight end. This is a weird draft for me. I really loved how it started with the first three picks, but I don't love how the rest of it shook out. And I think it all started when I picked Rice, where I feel good at the value still, although we got him at 52. But the vibe changed when I picked Rice. So I don't know if, that plays a role in any of this. So we're at 355 of the main drafts. We have these other ones we've drafted as well. These other things: weekly winners, eliminated, marathon, sprint, superflex, and the pre-best ball draft. So we're doing pretty good. We're on a roll. Plenty more best ball drafts to come. We are number 80 in, and we can get up to 150. So I will try and stream more of them and continue to do this live on here as best I can, so that way you guys can be a part of it. So when we inevitably win $2 million in Best Ball Mania, you guys can say, I saw that guy. I saw that video. I was there. So, but that's going to do it for me tonight. I've got to get some sleep. I'm tired. I'm sorry. But I will definitely be on this weekend, and I look forward to talking to everyone soon. So have a good evening, and thanks for stopping in. One more reminder, hit the like, subscribe, notifications. We go live usually 10 p.m. Central Time to midnight. And if you want to join with us in a draft, This is Main Event Fantasy. Down below in the description, you can click there and join on to Underdog and jump on in with us. I'd love for you guys to be here, hang out, talk, chat, and have a good time. So have a good night. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks.